The police state ends with me. We've made it one more day. I'll be talking fast today to get all the information in on one video, but you can always pause or rewatch the video to digest the volumes of information that are about to come your way. I was informed by employees of Jane Phillips Medical Center that the person that harassed me back in 2008 and 2009 resigned just days after my house was raided by the police. I didn't seek these people out, they came to me. Let that sink in. This person that harassed me in 2008 and 2009 remained employed all this time and then resigned just days after she and Mike Moore and James Brazel had the Bartlesville police raid my home. Of course, they were unable to arrest me because I did nothing. Then just days later, she resigned. Does anyone think there's a coincidence here? Or that something happened that caused her to resign at that time? What I was informed by Jane Phillips Medical Center employees is this. And I'll say it's alleged because it comes from others. I'll start with how I had not been to the doctor since 2009 while I was still working at Jane Phillips Medical Center. I won't go into details, but I'm getting older, I guess, and I've acquired a medical condition that can cause a great deal of pain and does, and will likely only get worse in the future. Much worse. Anyway, in early February 2015, I had a doctor's visit on the Jane Phillips Medical Center campus to find out about my options for my medical condition and pain. And I had a private discussion about medical marijuana, which cannot legally be used in Oklahoma. Per the Bartlesville Police warrant affidavit, that's the time they started collecting my trash and criminally stealing my trash can. What I've been told by employees of Jane Phillips Medical Center is that, again, allegedly, someone, likely a person that would have resigned right after the raid on my house, gained access to my medical records and doctor visit notes and shared them with the police. Illegally, as that is a malicious privacy crime that appears to have a penalty of 10 years in prison and $250,000 fine, and is a felony, both in sharing the information and receiving it, meaning if the alleged crime is true, the police investigator that would receive and use such information would be under the same penalties. So what were the police going through my trash for? Just what you probably already thought. They were looking for evidence of drug use due to my doctor visit about pain relief options. Why did they steal my trash can? Likely to test it for drug residue. But they had no authority to do that. It was a crime to steal that trash can. What were they really looking for at my house? Drugs. Why did they go through my refrigerator and storm shelter, saying they were looking for evidence of harassment or stalking? No, they were looking for drugs. No drugs were found, as I don't use drugs. As my doctor visit was about finding out about my medical options, not about using medical marijuana illegally in Oklahoma. And of course, finding nothing, they couldn't arrest me. But they took my computer equipment to get videos of them stealing from me that I had taken of them. They cannot put an illegal drug tip on a warrant, on a search warrant, so someone gave them another excuse. All this may be allegedly, but that is what I've been told, and it's too much of a coincidence. I leave it up to the Office for Civil Rights to investigate it, but they take 2 to 5 years or more to do investigations, so let's not hold our breath on that. And Jane Phillips Medical Center leadership have proven to be excellent at covering up their bad deeds. A bit more information on this to show how difficult it would be for the person that harassed me in 2008 and 2009 to resign days after the raid on my house, and that just be a coincidence, and my first doctor visit since 2009 to coincide. Remember, the doctor visit happened in early February 2015, and so did the police pulling and collecting my trash and stealing my trash can. For all this to coincide with the police collecting trash, I'm going to point out that people don't walk away from high paying jobs like this at such a time as such a coincidence. I'll just say it. You'd be a fool to think this was a coincidence. I'll prove how lucrative this job was for this person and others that filed a false police report against me. Jane Phillips Medical Center is wholly owned, I'm told, by St. John's Health System out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the Ascension Health System, which is one of the largest health systems in the world. However, Jane Phillips Medical Center is still technically a non-profit organization, and therefore the IRS requires them to supply what they call a Form 990 to anyone that asks for it. And it also is posted online, although they're slow to do this, to put them online, so you can't get the most recent couple of years. This Form 990 must show the highest paid executives and their salaries, so the public can then see if they believe the pay is appropriate for a non-profit status, which means that they don't pay taxes. So all of this is public record, and none of it is confidential in any way. It's on the internet, and I'm going to show you that. I'll pop up the internet address up on the screen here, and we'll walk through the pay rates of each person to see how much money they make and how millions of dollars aren't just walked away from days after the raid on my house as a coincidence. Now, I'll also point out that for public relations, a vice president, which this person is or was, will usually work out their resignation period, usually until a new person is hired. I don't know this, but it wouldn't surprise me if that is still what's going on. Doing this covers up any risks between executives so the public doesn't know there are any problems with the organization. So let's look at the 990 form from 2012 as the most recent one I could get, as that's the most recent one that's online. You can safely assume pay rates are higher now in 2015 as executives' pay doesn't go down over the years, it only goes up. So again, pop that up on the screen and then move down to page 8 of the document. You will see the highly paid executives. The leaders have changed, as Mike Moore was, who is listed on this document as the chief financial officer, is now the president of the organization. And I will point out that he was the vice president, and he is the person I reported the harassment to and who has chosen to this day to deny it. A bold-faced lie, or bald-faced lie. So you can see the president in 2012 on the document. Salary plus benefits was about $500,000 per year. So that likely is lower than what Mike Moore is making right now as president. Now, you can decide for yourself if a small town in Oklahoma making $500,000 a year is correct or not. I'm not even going to comment on that. So you will also see that vice presidents and other higher paid executives made about $250,000 a year with salary and benefits. And this was in 2012, and likely that's higher now in 2015 for James Brazel, who is now the Chief Financial Officer and the VP of Nursing listed here on this document. And she was the person that harassed me in 2008 and 2009. And she is the person, I'm told, that has resigned. So the person that harassed me in 2008 and 2009 stayed employed after I left for about 7 years, making $250,000 a year for a total of about $1,750,000. Then resigned just days after the raid on my home that employees of the hospital said had a direct link to a doctor's visit I had on the Jane Phillips Medical Center campus in February 2015, the first doctor's visit I had since 2009, and coincides when the police started sifting through my trash per their own written document in the warrant affidavit. Too many coincidences, and too much of a stretch for a person to walk away from a job that paid a vice president nearly $2 million since I left the hospital. no coincidence is possible here. But that's just the beginning. Tomorrow we'll begin talking about how the person that currently holds the Bartlesville City Council seat I was running for is involved in this. You will be astonished by the amount of corruption we're going to uncover, and why I know by divulging this information my life is at risk by the corrupt police state. But it must stop. The police state ends with me. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow.